So you're going to see by the title of this video that this video is going to be pretty crazy. So it was just another day on the yard at a typical female prison in AZ. I was a sergeant at the time. It was myself and another sergeant on, as well as a lieutenant. It was about probably, I would say, I don't know, 1,800 hours, probably about 6 o'clock, 1,800 hours or 6 o'clock, right after count time. Count had cleared, inmates coming out for chow, everything was cool. And mind you, this yard that I was a sergeant on wasn't a very busy yard. We didn't have very many things go on. I was working swing shift at the time, so that was 2 to 10. It was pretty quiet. Not too much happens on this yard. So anyways, it's about 6 o'clock, and I hear, whenever you hear an officer call main control from the radio, you know they're about to initiate the incident command system, which means something's going on. They need main control to broadcast it and start taking notes on what the issue is and what the situation is. And they need response as far as officers. They might need medical. It might be a fight. Who knows what's going on? But if you hear officer so-and-so to main control, you know that here we go with an incident. Here's an incident command system. There's something going on in the yard with disturbance. Who knows what's going on? So I'm not going to use the officer's name, but this particular officer says, Officer so-and-so to main control. At this time, I'm initiating ICS. I've got it. And mind you, he's not saying it as calm as I am. He's freaking out. He said, I have an officer or an inmate here who I think is going to die. That's exactly what he says. I'm like, I look at my other sergeant partner. I'm like, did he just say that? So we're thinking, maybe it's a drill. Why would he say that over the radio? We don't say that. And the other sergeant was like, no, this isn't a drill. Let's get down there. So we get down there. What had happened was the inmate had sliced her both arms completely up. She was squirting blood everywhere. She was starting to turn blue. The officer was pretty much in shock because remember, nothing really goes on this yard. So he was like freaking out. I took over command of the situation. So as a sergeant, I took over that incident. So I was directing everybody, telling them what to do. I called main control and told them, call 911 ASAP. You need to get them on scene. Well, usually we have to get permission from complex to get 911 to be called. The main control officer said, who's authorizing 911? I said, I am. I'll take the blame for it. Get them called, or this isn't going to be a good situation. They call 911. Meanwhile, while we're waiting, and it seemed like 2 days, it was only about 20 minutes, I called my officer out of medical who knew that this wasn't a joke. He's like, man, this guy's from Lewis. If he says get medical down here ASAP, he means it. So, meaning I come from a mail yard. If I'm asking for 911, this isn't a drill. The inmate was literally, we couldn't hold enough pressure on. Inmates were bringing us towels to help her. We couldn't hold enough pressure on her arms. These towels were squirting blood or dripping blood everywhere. Her arms were squirting blood like crazy. She was trying to kill herself. She did not want to be alive. We were trying to talk to her, keep her alive. She was completely out of it. She kept going in and out of consciousness, and she was turning blue. Finally, the paramedics got there. They came up. They helped us. And remember, it was like 115 degrees out. This was in the summertime. I went to get up after kneeling, and I couldn't. I was cramped. I was stuck. So I couldn't even get up. It was a crazy situation. The inmate we ended up getting her off the complex. She went to the hospital. She did survive. They did sew her up. She was a psych inmate, so she did have some issues psychologically. But I seen it when she got back. I'd seen her a couple months later because when you get back, she goes to a medical ward. Didn't even look like she had ever done anything to her arms. They had sewed them up that good. But from then on out, on that yard, that girl's cell was double and triple and quadruple checked because she was a risk of cutting herself. That is just a minor incident of what you're going to see in a prison. And that doesn't happen a lot on female yards. You get a lot of hangings on female yards. You get some cutters, but that incident, a lot of times they'll cut themselves just for because they want attention. This inmate did not. She wanted to kill herself. She cut herself long ways, not across, and there was blood everywhere. I don't know how we ended up saving her, but we did. Just another quick story of if you want to be an officer, you have to render aid, and you have to render aid within 3 minutes. So you can't just be like, oh, F it, I don't care, I'm not going to do it. You're going to do it. You're going to render aid. And just like I told you, that officer was in shock because he had never seen something like that. These are some of the things you got to be prepared for, because you will see some crazy stuff, especially in a male facility. Not saying that you won't see it in a female facility, but definitely you're going to find a lot more overdoses in the male facilities, a lot more fights. You will see hangings, and it's pretty trippy to walk up on either a hanging or somebody that's overdosed with a needle sticking out of their arm. So just keep in mind, you're going to see some crazy shit. Peace.